Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to talk to you about leads and lead changes. Some of the most common questions I get from my clients and students and things like that is, first of all, how do I get my horse picking up the correct lead whenever I want to? And then right after that is, how do I get my horse to do flying lead changes? Well, I'm hopefully going to break it down to you today and make it hopefully not too complicated, easy to follow and easy to understand. The big thing is though, it takes preparation, and I want to make sure you guys understand. You know, picking up the correct lead is one thing, that's not too difficult. Flying lead changes, they are a little bit more difficult. They're not even in my foundation program. I consider them a little bit more advanced than that. So get the foundation really solid, and then after that, the flying lead changes shouldn't be too bad. So to get started here, it is, like I said, very important to get that foundation done. What that means is you should be able to have control of all your horse's parts of the body. So let me walk towards you a little bit. When picking up the correct lead, what it really has to do with is getting hip control on your horse. So if I'm walking towards you guys and I want my horse to pick up the right lead, what needs to happen is their hip needs to be further to the right than the center of their body. So I'll take my left leg back and I'll press. You can see right here, her hip is way out there to the right. If I kissed at her now, as long as she maintained this shape, she's going to pick up the right lead. Just the opposite, if I push my right leg back and press that hip over here, I'm going to pick up the left lead. So being able to get that hip control is the most important thing when you're starting to pick up the correct lead, and especially when dealing with lead changes. It's obviously doing it at the walk is one thing. To do a flying lead change, it has to be done while at the canter. So again, I walk towards you. If I'm cantering right now, say she's on the left lead, her hip is further to the left, I have to do this in midair, push her hip over there to the right. Okay, so it's pretty difficult when you're actually going at that speed, working at the canter. So you really need to get your horse soft. You need to get them understanding of what your leg cues mean. So you notice right now I'm using a dressage whip. This horse right here, her name is Honey. She's relatively green. Changes. I've been practicing on her for about 2 weeks now. She's coming along great. She's had a lot of preparation for it, but she's still just green and learning. So I'll use this dressage whip. For instance, if I'm going and she's on the left lead and then I press my left leg back to get that hip over, if she doesn't get it over quick enough, I'll tap her like this with the dressage whip and I'll get that going over just a little bit better. So with her, she's not too natural at putting that hip over at the canter just yet, so she needs that little bit of help from time to time. So what I'll do is I'll show you guys first how to pick up the correct lead, what's important to understand, and then I'll start going into flying lead changes and go about the basics of that. It takes on average about 4 to 6 months to be able to prepare your horse to be ready for flying lead changes. So that's in training 5 days a week, really working hard on the foundation. Okay, if you're only riding them once or twice a week, we'll just, multiply that by a whole bunch. It's going to take you a long time. Okay, so to get the correct lead, what happens with most horses, especially if they've been ridden a long time and consistently only getting one lead, say every time you squeeze and kiss they pick up the right lead, what happens is they're telling you they're more naturally shaped over there to the right. So they like to travel with their shoulders to the left and their hip to the right like this. So in order to get them to pick up the left lead, you need to be able to push that shoulder to the right and that hip to the left. Okay, so being able to do that is going to be able to ensure that you're going to be able to pick up the correct lead. So I'm not going to go too much about how to establish that type of hip control. I've worked on that in some other videos. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you what you need to be able to do in order to pick up that left lead. So if I push her over here, and I can soften her up to the face, and I can maintain that softness without kissing her and getting her to go into a canter, I'm pretty sure that I can get that left lead. So let me show you how it works real quick. I'm going to push that hip to the left. I'm going to kiss, 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 and drive. And there she got that left lead. Really good. Now what happens if she doesn't get the left lead? Let me break it down here. Slow her down. If she didn't get that left lead, then I'll take my right spur back here. I'll roll it a little bit. I'll really push that hip over there to the left. And I'll say, hey, when I press with my right leg there, I want that hip to go to the left. I'll walk her out of there. I'll try again, put my calf on, kiss. And there we go. We can pick up the correct lead. Ask her to slow down. Again, if she didn't get it, push that hip again. Now, if your horse can't walk forward and push that hip to the inside like that, go back to your basics. Get them to disengage the hindquarters. Remember, we work a lot on this in the foundation program. Disengage, soften up, take that leg off. They should stop moving that hip over. Once they understand that, all that is changing from having their head bent to the inside right here, moving that hip, to bend it a little bit less, move that hip, and then eventually and be able push that hip wherever you want. So that's just all part of the preparation and the foundation program that you're going to need to go to. After you get that going, picking up the correct lead whenever you want, some great exercises to practice before you're ever considering flying lead changes is getting them going in straight lines. Pick up the left lead, drop them down to a walk, pick up the right lead, drop them down to a walk, and just over and over on straight lines, picking up the lead. So what that does is it means to right leg back, left leg immediately. It's a kind of a difficult exercise, but it sure is going to help. So again, let me show you for example. Hips over there to the left. Left lead. Drop her down to a walk. Push the hip over here to the right. That didn't get off my left leg how I wanted to, so I'll push it a little more. Good. Drop her down. Just turn her around over here. So being able to do this one lead after the other is really going to prepare her for those lead changes. There, she really got off my left leg nicely there. So let's get the right lead. Drop her down, sit down a little bit. Right leg back. A little bit. Left leg back. I like to practice before I ever worry about working on flying lead changes. The next thing, and this in my opinion is the most important thing before teaching your horse how to do flying lead changes, is they need to learn how to not change leads before they ever learn how to change leads. What I mean by that is they need to learn how to counter canter. So if I am in a left circle, if I'm counter cantering, I'm going to be on the right lead. Okay, the reason why that's important, sometimes horses, they'll just go into the left and right lead, but depending on what circle they're in. But to me, that's not really the lead change that I'm looking for. I want to do it a very mechanical way. I'm moving your hip this way, I'm moving your hip that way. I don't want my horse to just say, we change directions, we're going to change leads. What happens then is you'll be going to the right, they're on the right lead, then you'll change to the left on the left lead. What happens is they'll dive their shoulders to the left and start doing something like this, and they'll push further and further every single time you do that till eventually you're going to nearly fly off the saddle. They're pushing so hard in the new direction. I want to be able to do it in straight lines. I want it to be pure. I want it to be very full of finesse. I just want it to be really soft and very nice. So what I'll do here is, now that I can pick up my leads in straight lines, I'll go ahead and ask for the right lead, but then I'll go ahead and drive her to the left circle. So kiss, kiss. So right there, she drive the hip. She wasn't really listening to my leg. Again, what she needs right here is to be tapped with that dressage whip. Listen to me, please. And there we go. So she just was being a little bit dull to my left leg. And that's okay. She's still pretty green with all of this stuff. I'm not going to get too upset. I'm just going to go ahead and work on some. So how I keep her in the right lead is my left leg stays on and I'm driving her body out to the right. Okay, you can see her legs are headed out there to the right. I still have some arc to her in the left circle. I don't want her to be looking out to the right. But this is very, very important that my horse is comfortable in the circle on the right lead. I do an awful lot of this. I probably do this for a good month or so before I ever worry about trying to teach my horse how to do a flying lead change. I want them to be able to be soft in the bridle, good with their cadence. They're not going too fast or too slow, and really soft on my leg. Do a couple things. I can just drop her down and I can say, good job, thanks for counter cantering, or I can just head out in the other direction and do a natural circle. Doing that natural circle kind of says, hey, we're not about lead changes all the time, we're just about listening to my legs. So I might just do that. I'll just take her up through the middle there. Go on a right circle. At this point, what I really want to work on is driving her hip in my circles. What I want to do is I want to be able to put my left leg back and push her hip to the right. It's going to mimic what I'm going to do when I ask for a lead change. So I'm going to gather her up in my hands, press with my left leg, and there her hip went a little bit to the right. Release. Reward her for that effort. It doesn't have to go a whole lot, especially when they're as green as she is. I just want to feel it move a little bit. Push that hip. Wait till she's off. Push that hip. If it doesn't get off, I'll tap it with my dressage whip. Wait till, there we go. She got a little bit concerned when I tapped her. Got heavy in the bridle, so I just waited till she got soft. And there, she moved that hip very nice for me. If I can't get my horse to move that hip to the inside on a natural circle, I guarantee you I'm not going to be able to get it from a counter canter. It's a lot harder that way. Let me bring her up in the middle and stop her. Whoa. Good girl. So what I mean by that is when she's already on the right lead and I push that hip, her hip is already wanting to be to the right. That's what lead she's on. So it's going to be fairly easy or easier for her to do that. While she's counter cantering, she wants that hip to be the other way because that's what lead she's on anyway. So it's going to be a lot more difficult. So if I can't even do it on the natural circle, well, I'm not going to have very good odds of getting that lead change. So now let's go ahead and start actually working on lead changes. Remember, she's pretty green. She's not going to get it right every single time. And hopefully she doesn't get it right every single time, so I can tell you what to do. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the left lead in direction. I'm going to ask her to start counter cantering. So left lead here. Good girl. Just bring her up through the middle. Right leg is on. What my right leg is doing is even turning to the right, I'm telling her that I want her legs to continue going to the left. Okay, that's maintaining that left lead for me. So my right leg, it's not pressing really hard, but it's just on as a reminder. Okay, after I feel that she's good in this counter canter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right leg off, and I'm going to take my left leg and I'm going to put it on just a little bit back. What I want to do is push her hip over there to the right. So as she's going, if she doesn't feel good in this counter canter, I just keep on counter cantering 5-10 circles if I have to. I want her to be really soft and really comfortable. Now because she's still green, what I usually do here is I change legs and then I just gently tap her with the dressage whip to ensure that her hip heads over when I want. So I'll go ahead and do that, maybe over here where the camera can see a little bit better. I'll wait till she feels good. Here she feels pretty nice. Switch. Wait till she softens. Good. So she changed. She just got a little bit pushy in the bridle. Not a big deal for her stage. She changed leads. I cantered her a couple strides and then I sat down with my body and walked her out. I want to really reward her for that effort. I really want my horses to think change leads, slow down, relax. Change leads, slow down, and relax. I don't want them to get upset and kind of nervous about lead changes. It kind of happens anyway. Horses just get a little bit tense about it. So I want to do whatever I can to get my horse staying confident and staying relaxed about it. So she did everything pretty nice right there. As soon as I pressed my leg, she changed leads. She got a little bit stiff in the bridle, not a big deal, drove her up until she softened. As soon as she did relax, chill out a little bit. Let's try it one more time in that direction. So I picked up the left lead there, pushing her hip over there to the left, maintaining that lead. Keeping her nice and soft. I kind of put my hands forward. If she bumps into the bridle, I just bring it back a little bit. It's important that your horse is soft in the bridle. If you change leads and your horse is pushing too much through the bridle, they're going to push forward and they're not going to change because they're too strung out. So let's go ahead and try it here. Relax. So there, she did everything good. I pressed with my leg. I didn't even need to tap her with the dressage whip. Everything was beautiful. She changed, soft to the bridle. For a couple weeks of practice like she has, I'm really happy with where she's coming along there. So now let's go ahead and work on her other side. That was the better side anyway. This horse naturally wants to do right leads, just naturally this way anyway. So going and getting her to change from right lead to left lead is a lot more difficult to her because she naturally doesn't really want to be there anyway. So let's pick up the right lead. Good girl. I'm going to guide her a little bit away from the camera over here. Alright, so left leg on. Getting her to maintain. Okay, so because she doesn't want to be changing to the left anyway, her body's not quite as shaped in the left circle, this counter canter to the left circle is a little more difficult for her. So what I have to do is I have to continually bring her nose over, release, bring her nose over, release. I need to take my left leg and kind of push a little bit harder sometimes to keep everything going out to the right, because she kind of wants to fall in that way. She wants her shoulders to be to the left and her hip to the right naturally, so I kind of have to keep those shoulders up a little bit more on this side. So right now she feels pretty good. Let's go ahead and try a change. And here. Relax. Bring it. Was really good. That side, as soon as I tapped her a little bit with the dressage whip, she changed. She did try to push her shoulders a little bit to the left. I just kind of held it up with my right rein and left leg, and she did really nice right there. I'm really happy with that. All right, let's try this again. Drive her hip over there to the right. Pick up the right lead. Hopefully she doesn't do it so good every time. If not, I'll just kind of make it happen, so I'll show you what to do to fix it. So wait, see right there, she kind of thought about changing on her own. So I softened her up, pushed her forward with my legs. All right, she feels good here. Nope, she thought about changing, keep going. She's kind of getting the idea that I'm going to go a certain amount of the circle and then change. So she's kind of hopping up and anticipating. I just need her to keep going. That's why it's so important to teach them how to counter canter, so they don't do this too much on their own for you. I want her to wait. She keeps on pushing into the circle. I drive her out with my left leg. Now she's feeling a little better. Relax. That was beautiful. Drive her hip. Excellent. Okay. So far she's changed really nice for me. When I asked, she's just changed leads. What happens if they don't change leads? Some horses are more naturally leaded than others. They'll just change every time for you, kind of right from the beginning, as long as you get that hip control. Others have a really hard time moving that hip over. Remember, it's all about that hip control. So let me just show you. Let's just say she's over here. Pretend we're cantering right now. I'm not going to canter her because she's just going to make a mistake and have her, get a little upset about it or a little confused about it. So we're on the right lead here. I press with my left leg, ask her to change, and she just doesn't change. I'll give her 3 or 4 strides to do it. If she doesn't change at that time, I'll just gently kind of pull her, and I'll really tap her with this dressage whip, or I'll roll that spur over here and really get that hip heading over there to the left, and then I'll walk her out, and I'll try again. I'll pick up the right lead, and I'll do it again. Right there, she needs to get that hip over there to the right better. I kind of tap her with my spur up here to keep her shoulder out. Good girl. So I'll ask her to change, and whether she does it good or not, I'll correct her as if she doesn't. I don't want to make her make a mistake. She's trying too hard for me. But even if she does it right, I'll pretend like she didn't do it very good, and then I'll show her what I was looking for. So drive her up here. Switch. And go. So I'll pull her down, and I'll really roll that spur up there, or tap her with this dressage whip. I'll say, hey honey, when I press with my leg back there, I want that hip going over. Now, she did change. It wasn't the first one she'd done yet. It was a little bit late, and she kind of popped up with everything, but it was still pretty good for how green she is with them. A little lazy there, need to keep her going forward. So go try again, soften her up. Beautiful. Sit. Walk her up. Hip to the inside. That was really nice. For her worst way, that was beautiful. I'm really happy with that. Now, that's showing you guys how to do it from a counter canter. I love to start my lead changes from a counter canter. The reason being is because when you're on the right lead going left, they kind of say, you know what, it's easier if I was on the left lead anyway. So they already have a little bit in their brain that says they should be going over there. So when I switch my legs, they say, could I try this? It kind of just makes it a little easier for them to understand. After I get the basics of that, I really like to start doing it more on straight lines. What I'll do, let me come towards the camera here. Let's just say she's on the left lead. Okay, what I'll do is I'll push her whole body over off my right leg on a straight line here basically, and then I'll press with my left leg and I'll push that hip over, and then I'll go off straight on the right lead. So it's like canter, 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 push the shoulder away, push the hip to the inside. I like to do it this way because eventually I like to be going on perfectly straight lines and be able to change that hip and change that lead whenever I want. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like a little more. Now I say straight lines, I am going off at a little bit of an angle, but I'm not going on circles is what I mean. So let me press her, get her to the left here, left lead. All right, so I'll shape her, push her shoulder. As they get more and more broke. All right, so right now I'll push her up at quite an angle. Later on, it'll be a little bit of a press. So let's go ahead and try it the other way. I'll come straight towards the camera more. All right, so she's on the right lead. I'll tilt her nose a little bit to the left, push her shoulders out to the right. Switch. Go forward. There we go. So she got a little hoppy there, a little bit confused on what she would do, and she still changed, but it wasn't quite as good as I would like. So I'm going to try again. So because it wasn't as good as what I want, I really want to enforce, soften up, push that hip over there to the left. All right, let's try again. This right lead. A lot more changes going down the straight line. Right now she's still much too green for that. But again, let me try to reinforce everything here. The reason that she's changing is because the hip goes from over here, which would be right lead, to over here, which would be left lead. That's all what leads really are. You know, people try to overcomplicate it, think they should be doing all these complicated things. It's all about hip control. Get your horse soft, get them, you know, relaxed and confident, be able to control their body. It's important to go back and do these leg yields. That's basically what I was doing on those straight lines. Get off my left leg. So right here, if she's going over here right lead, I'm saying get off, get off, get off, and then boom, push your hip over there to the left. She says, boom, okay, left lead. If they have good hip control, you're really going to be able to get further along with those lead changes a lot quicker. Ask her to stop and back a little bit. Come on. Atta girl. So again, hip control is everything with lead changes. If you don't have good hip control, go back, work on your foundation work, disengaging the hind end, working on your leg yields, softening them to the bridle. If you're ready, if you're through all your foundation, everything's good, these little exercises right here, working on your counter canter, working on engaging the hip to the inside, all that stuff's really going to prepare you for these lead changes. It's not that difficult if you have body control. She's had a couple weeks of practice. She's coming along just fine. I imagine in another couple weeks she'll be that much more smoother and able with them. Don't rush it too much. It's okay if they don't get it at the beginning. It's very difficult sometimes to get those horses to change in midair. If they're breaking down, they're not getting it, don't worry about it. Just keep them soft, keep them confident. If they stay confident, they're going to be okay. So basically, I just wanted to go ahead and go through some of these ideas with you. This is the very, very basics of leads and lead changes on my horses. Once she gets a little bit more broke, or once I get another horse in that's a little further along, I'll go ahead and show you some different things on how to advance your lead changes. But right now, this is basically all you need to get your horses started in those lead changes. And like I said, it's something that people ask me all the time. How do I get my horse prepared for lead changes? Are my horses ready for lead changes? Well, the big thing is get them prepared through the foundation. Get them soft, get them confident, moving off your legs. After that, I don't think you're going to have much of a problem. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video.